What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Genesys format Blue Eyes White Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck to play in Genesys format that has a deck cost of 99. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. This card is such a nostalgic boss monster, and it's so cool to actually play 3 copies of this card in this deck to help us just go in for some insane boss monsters like Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon, or just swing in for game with the classic Blue Eyes White Dragon. We then play a single copy of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is an amazing 1-of in the build that has a really cool effect to actually protect our other cards from being destroyed by card effects, which is super cool. We then play 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Sage with Eyes of Blue is the most powerful normal summon in the entire deck, because when this card is normal summon, you can actually add a level 1 light tuner from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great ability to instantly search out cards like Maiden of White, Kaibaman the Legend, or even Effect Veiler off this card's effect, which is such an incredible ability. This card also has a really cool effect that you can actually discard this card and target an effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck, but you can only use that effect once per turn. We then play 3 copies of Maiden of White. Maiden of White is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card helps us instantly get to our copy of True Light. With the ability, you can actually send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to place a True Light from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell and trap card zone. Also, if you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon while this card's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card as well, which is a great effect to instantly bring this card out to your side of the field alongside a copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon so we can go in for our synchro plays. We then play 3 copies of Kaibaman the Legend. Kaibaman the Legend is such a cool card in Genesys format that actually requires us to play 3 copies of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. With this card having the effect that if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually show 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons in your hand, deck, face on the field, and your graveyard, and then special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is such a powerful effect to instantly bring out the Blue Eyes White Dragon by just summoning out Kaibaman the Legend. Also, if you special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon while this card's in the graveyard, you can banish this card to add a Blue Eyes monster from your deck to your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect. We then play 2 copies of Neo Kaiser Seahorse. This card is great as a 2-of in the build because this card is an awesome extender. And if you control a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can actually special summon this card from your hand. This card also has the ability you can target a light tuner you control and increase or decrease its level by 1, which is a really cool ability to help us make our copy of Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. You can actually reduce this card's level down by 1 to make it a level 3, then simply use a level 1 tuner plus this card and a copy of the Blue Eyes White Dragon to equal level 12 to summon out your copy of Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. This card also has the ability, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can actually send a Blue Eyes monster or a monster that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card, which is a pretty cool ability just in case you need to get your copy of Kaibaman the Legend or a copy of Blue Eyes Jet Dragon into the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Effect Veiler is an amazing 3-of in the build and such a cool card to be able to play. And this card is actually our very first point card, sitting at 7 points apiece. This card is really cool because it is a level 1 light tuner that we can use for our synchro plays, but this card is also very good in this build because it is actually a monster negate. Because this card can actually just negate the effects of your opponent's monsters during their main phase. We then play 3 copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is really good as a 3-of as well in this deck to basically just break your opponent's board, and it's so easy to actually out Nibiru tokens, and this card is also a point card sitting at 10 points apiece. This card is such an incredible hand trap and so easy to actually out the Nibiru token that we're going to hand to our opponent. We then also play 3 copies of Drolan Lockbird. Drolan Lockbird is really good as a 3-of in the build to basically just use this card in this deck to stop the opponent from touching the deck for the rest of the turn, and this card is also a point card sitting at 5 points apiece. This card is really good in the build to again just basically stop the opponent from touching the deck for the rest of the turn. We then play 3 copies of DD Crow. DD Crow is really cool as a 3-of in the deck to basically just help you control the graveyard. And it's just a really good 3-of in the build to again just help you control the graveyard, as you can quick effect discard this card to the grave and then target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard and banish that target. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Wishes for Eyes of Blue is also another point card in this deck, sitting at 33 points, which is massive in the point scale, but this card is so important in the build, but you only need a single copy of it anyways, because you can easily get to this card with your copy of True Light. With this card having the effect that you can discard a card to add a level 1 Light Tuner and a spell or trap card that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Wishes, which is a really cool ability to instantly grab cards from your deck to your hand, like your copy of Sage, Maiden, Kaibaman, or even Effect Veiler off this card's effect, and then grab the exact spell or trap card that you need, like a copy of your Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon. This card also has the ability you can banish this card in the graveyard and then target a Blue Eyes White Dragon you control, and equip that Blue Eyes monster with a Blue Eyes monster from your extract as an equip spell that gives it 400 attack points, meaning it's super easy to summon out your copy of Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon by just tributing the monster that's equipped with your copy of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. We then play 2 copies of Pyreus Map. This card is essentially Rhoda for the deck. You do have to pay half your life points to activate this card, but it's still really good in the build to be able to use, is at the starting your main phase 1, you can actually add a monster with 0 attack from your deck to your hand, but half your life points after adding it to your hand. And until the end of the next turn after this card was activated, you cannot activate the added monster's effects or the effects of cards with the same name until you normal summon that monster or card with its name, when this card is essentially Rhoda for the deck. We then play 2 copies of Primite Drill Beam. Drill Beam is really good in this deck because it's so easy to summon out your copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon to your side of the field that this card is just absolutely amazing. Letting you reveal a Primite card or a normal monster in your hand, except another copy of Drill Beam, or if you control a normal monster or a level 5 or higher Primite monster, except a token, you can activate this card without revealing a card. Basically, if we control a Blue Eyes White Dragon, we can just activate this card. This card then has the ability that then you target a face-up card on the field and negate its effects, and if you do, banish it. Also, during your main phase, if you control a Primate monster, you can set this card from your graveyard back to your side of the field, but unfortunately, we don't play the Primate Dragon in this deck. We then play 3 copies of Primate Roar. Primate Roar is such a powerful 3-of in the deck and helps out so much in this build to help you instantly get your copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon to your side of the field, and you can pay 2,000 life points and then declare a null monster's card name, and the declared null monster and Primate monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle until the end of the opponent's turn. Then, if you control no monsters, you can special summon one of the declared null monster from the deck in defense position, instantly bring out your copy of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Also, if your opponent normal summons a monster, you can banish the card from the graveyard, target a normal monster you control or in your graveyard, and banish a monster from the field with less attack than that monster, which is going to be 3,000 with your copy of Blue Eyes White Dragon. We then play 3 copies of Roar of the Blue-Eyed Dragon. Roar is incredible as a 3-of in the deck and helps out so much in this build, as this card lets us special summon in defense position a Blue Eyes monster from our deck, graveyard, or banishment. But if you control no Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can only special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon with this effect, and also you cannot special summon the X deck for the rest of this turn except for dragon monsters. And also banish a card in the graveyard to be able to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field, including a Blue Eyes monster, which is a really powerful deck to help us go in for cards like Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. So that's it for these spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing two, starting off with a single copy of Majesty of the White Dragons. Majesty is really good as a 1-of in the build to help us pop cards on the field by just showing our opponent Blue Eyes White Dragon in our hand facing the monster zone or the graveyard, and which is such a cool effect. With my single copy of True Light. True Light is amazing, but you only need a single copy of this card because your copy of Maiden can instantly get to this card with the ability that your opponent cannot target Blue Eyes White Dragon in your monster zone with card effects. And also, if this face-up card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, destroy all monsters that you control. But this card is an incredible effect that you can either special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the hand of the graveyard once per turn, or once per turn set a spell or trap card directly in your deck that specifically lists Blue Eyes White Dragon in its text with a different name from cards you control and in your graveyard, which is pretty cool that we can still get to this card extremely easily, so we can actually set our copy of Wishes to our side of the field and then search out exactly what we need. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon is an incredible boss monster and so much fun to be able to summon this card to your side of the field, as this card has the ability that neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. And once per turn, during either player's turn, when an effect of a card in the graveyard is activated, you can actually negate the activation, which is a pretty cool effect. Also, during either player's turn, you can tribute this synchro summon card to special summon a light dragon type synchro monster from the X deck in defense position, except another copy of this card, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. We then play 2 copies of Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon. Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon is really good as a 2-of in the build because this card is actually a walking negate, with the ability to actually requires 2 tuners to make this card plus a non-tuner Blue Eyes monster to make this card, which is actually very easy to do in this deck because we also play Neo Kaiser Seahorse. But this card has the ability that your opponent cannot banish cards from your graveyard, and also when a card effect is activated on the field, quick effect, you can negate the activation. If you do, this card gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. And then this card is destroyed by battle by card effect, you can special summon a light dragon monster from the graveyard except another copy of this card, but you can also just summon this card out using your copy of Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. We play a single copy of Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. This card is great as a 1-of in the build because if this card is special summoned until the end of the next turn, neither player can target dragon monsters you currently control with card effect, and also they cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is a pretty cool ability. Also, once per turn, during your standby phase, you can target a normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it, helping you bring back Blue Eyes over and over again. We then play a single copy of Lightstorm Dragon. Lightstorm Dragon is really good at just basically helping you pop your opponent's back row. We play a single copy of Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. This card is great as a 1-of in the build and just a really cool level 12 monster that we can synchro summon into using our copy of Neo Kaiser Seahorse plus a Blue Eyes White Dragon. And this card just helps you spot remove monsters off the field and move them into the back row with the ability during the main phase, quick effect, you can actually target a face-up monster on the field or in either player's graveyard and place it face-up in its owner's spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell card. Also, this card cannot use this effect next turn, which is a pretty cool effect. Also, during the battle phase, quick effect, you can actually target a monster and a continuous spell on the field and destroy them. We then play a single copy of Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. This card is great to be able to tag into using your copy of Spirit Dragon, because Spirit Dragon summons the monsters out to your side of the field in defense position, and this card can attack while in defense position, basically using its defense as its attack points for 3,300. We then play a single copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. This card is very easy to summon in the deck, and just a really cool summon in this build that's actually a walking monster negate, as we can easily summon out this card using a copy of Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Black Rose Moonlight Dragon is really good as a 1-of in the build because this card has an incredible effect, and this card is special summon or a level 5 or higher monster special summon to your opponent's side of the field. You can target a special summon monster your opponent controls and return that target back to the hand, but you can easily summon this card out using your copy of Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, then simply use a level 1 tuner to be able to step into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. We then play 2 copies of Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon is a really cool boss monster that can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each and can help you recover your trap cards out of the graveyard. And this card has the ability must either be fusion summon or special summon from the extract by treating a Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with a fusion monster, which your copy of Wishes can actually equip your copy of Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate to a Blue Eyes White Dragon. Then you simply tribute the Blue Eyes White Dragon equipped with Neo to be able to summon out your copy of Tyrant Dragon. And for the last card of the extract, we do play a single copy of Indigo Eyes Silver Dragon. Indigo Eyes comes out at 4,000 attack points and cannot attack directly unless this card has a null monster as a material, and also, if this card is XZ summon, you can negate the effects of all face-up cards that your opponent currently controls, and you can detach a material on this card, turn a null monster in the graveyard or in your banishment, and special summon it, and if you do, it gains 1,000 attack points, summoning out Blue Eyes White Dragon, basically as a 4,000 attack point monster. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try in Genesys format, because it's so much fun to be able to play, and it's insane how powerful it is to be able to summon out one of the most nostalgic boss monsters in the entire game. So, that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.